we're super excited about. Take some questions from the community, answer some questions, give some insight into where we're at as a team development wise. Let everyone know what the product's going to look like as of February 1st. And yeah, we're just really excited to get the product in people's hands. So Cole, over to you, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks, Brennan. Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you guys are. Yeah, so we've been doing these twice a week on Wednesdays and also Wednesdays, 8 a.m. PST, and Saturdays. So make sure you guys come to the next one. I see some familiar faces in here. The community's definitely growing. So super excited for all the support and everything coming. Yeah, so if you guys aren't aware of what OSSA.AI is, essentially what we've built is a tool, not essentially, but what we've built is a tool that allows individuals to bring their own script and set their own parameters and create videos that are engineered and optimized for engagement. And one thing I really want to touch on, because I've noticed this over the past couple of days, we've had some influencers actually talk about us. I'm an influencer myself. I know where a lot of creators are coming from when they see another tool that creates AI generated content, right? Um, and we've been categorized with some other tools, and there's a lot of people working on trying to solve a similar problem. But the nuanced problem we're trying to solve, which is ongoing, is how can an individual with little to no experience come and use a platform and not relinquish all of the controlled AI, but have a creative input and allow their creativity and their ability to write a script and understand how to run a social media page be supplemented by a tool. And I think that's where we're distinguished, is that we are definitely not a tool that does everything for you, but we also don't want to be a tool that does everything for you, because with my background from being a content creator, there's just certain things that we cannot rely on AI for, especially when you're building a brand, when you're building, especially how we're doing it, which is short form content, which is where my expertise is. And for anyone who doesn't know, this is Cole World speaking from the OSSA.AI account, by the way. For anyone, that knows about building a brand or has built social media profiles, you definitely understand that there has to be control over the variables at play within creating a video, right? You need to be able to change the hook. You need to be able to change the style of the script, right? And determine what's going to be in the video. If you cannot control those things down to um, a very consistent level, if you're not able to determine what's happening in the video, it's literally impossible to grow a brand. And that's where a lot of these other companies are really missing, is that a service that you just pay for that generates content for you and it's just more convenient isn't in your best interest. Like, you, the individual, your skill set should be multiplied by this tool. But we're not here to replace anyone. We're not here to um, do everything for everyone. That's really just not what we're doing. Currently what I'm working on is a course that I've spent like at least 100 hours on in the past 2.5 weeks. It's been 80% of my time. Um, and if that doesn't tell you that I'm not, or we're not as a team, understanding of this is just a tool and there's other prerequisites to use it, then I don't know what will. And, you know, like I said, it's an ongoing process, right? There was an individual actually that tweeted about us yesterday. He's a big influencer, and I DM'd him, and he's super cool. There was no negative intent in what he said, but the way it came off was like, this tool is just another one of the AI tools, and I would strongly disagree. And granted, when he sees that our tool from high level, he might think that, but the thing is that the way by which we've built this gives full creative control to the user. And it's very different from what's currently been built, because a lot of the people that have been building these tools don't have a background in content creation. It's just a bunch of developers that have a cool idea of let's make videos for social media, but they don't understand the intricacies of what actually matters and what needs to be given to the user. Um, so obviously, in terms of where we are right now, we've had videos do, I think, up to 14 or 15,000 views. And these are individuals that have never created faceless content before. And we'll get to a point as the product improves and as we learn more about how can we really allow users to have more creativity and create, more viral content, which I'm a strong believer that these couple features we have coming out are going to allow us to pass that 100K view mark. And at the end of the day, you could say what you want, but if an individual can come in that's never created content before, or maybe has a little bit of experience, and then they can understand the software and they can write a script and they can select their parameters and they can get 100,000 views on a video. That is inherently incredibly valuable. 100,000 people, whether it's short form or long form. And even right now, if an individual can come into a platform and they can consistently generate 5 to 10,000 views, which we have multiple beta testers doing that, one of which is 20 years old and just likes anime and decided to make a page about it. And he applied some frameworks I gave him about content creation because, like I said, this doesn't do everything for you, but he took that, he improved on himself, and then he used the tool, and now he's pulling 5 to 10,000 views a video. Imagine if he was someone who had the skill set of understanding how to funnel attention, because now he knows how to get attention with the supplementation of our tool. But if he was someone who's in a position to be able to monetize that attention through the means of a product or an affiliate system, he would already be making money. So I think a lot of times people in social media, they get really mixed up about these arbitrary numbers that don't really mean anything. It's like the tool is only good when it gets 50,000 views. What does that even mean? Right? Or like the tool is only good when it gets, we could say any number, a million views. But it's like at the end of the day, the tool is good if it can help an individual who has had a problem before solve that problem. That is the point of tools, right? So that's kind of our approach is we're not attaching this arbitrary metric of like this tool needs to hit this number of views in order for it to be good, because if it has already proven that it can take someone from essentially 0 to 10,000 views on a video and 5 to 10,000 views consistently and climbing, in my opinion, being a creator and seeing that happen to people, it's never been done before. There's never been an opportunity like this, right? And we could also argue that okay, videos aren't getting 100,000 views or a million views yet. But yeah, from my perspective, it's like that's what I want for our users. But for 99.9% of people, they can't get a video over 100 views. They've never had a video even do 1,000 views on social media. And we have beta testers that have never touched social media before getting multiple thousands of views a video. So I think it touches to the point. I know this is a lot, but I wanted to give context here. I think it just touches to the point of what are realistic expectations of social media, because everyone we look up to, including myself who has a large following, we're so programmed to think that it's normal to get 100,000 views or 500,000 views or a million views on a video. When the reality is like if we compare ourselves to ourselves, that should be all we're actually working towards. Because if we're always trying to reach these arbitrary numbers that don't really matter, then we can't actually see what's really being done here in the improvements. So, Brennan, I know there's a lot. I'm sure you got some stuff to say.
Yeah, for sure. What I would add on to that is when we look at AI tools and if we just hone in on video AI tools, there's really two paths you can take as a company. Number one is to replace the creative side of humans, right? Where it's prompt to video and there's really no creativity that goes into it. And then there's the opposite side of that, which is where you build a tool that can supplement that human creativity. And just to hone in on what Cole was just saying and kind of reiterate it, what the path we decided to take was to supplement the human creativity. And that's why we're script to video instead of prompt to video. It's very important to us that we're not trying to replace the creativity of humans because quite frankly, AI is not at a point where it can do that. And so we noticed that, we recognized that, and we decided to take the path of supplementing creativity. And that's why we built the product that we built. And so it's very important because it's a negative connotation that's usually assimilated with AI generated anything is okay, but it lacks that creative input. And so, yeah, that's the exact reason why we took the design that we did. There is a little bit of a learning curve of being able to learn how to write scripts that will properly generate good videos. But at the end of the day, that is what will differentiate your content. And it still allows you to have this brand associated with the content that you make and that recognizability and that consistency that you can't get if we were, let's say, prompt to video. Now that being said, does that mean you couldn't come up with a really good GPT prompt and then use a really good GPT prompt to generate your video scripts? No, you probably could, but at the end of the day, it's just not what we wanted our product to be forward facing. You know, we really want to supplement that creative human input as opposed to replace it. So those are the two paths you can take as an AI company, and we definitely decided to supplement over replace.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to add is that we are by far in terms of allowing different means of types of content creation, right? Because there are companies for sure that are giving like templatized Like, here is a specific type of video you can create, and that is good for brand, right? But what's not good for brand is when every single person is locked into this very rigid structure of this is the only type of content you can make, only in this style, only in this niche, right? And that's what we've seen a lot is we've seen a lot of these tools. And the problem with that is, like I said, from my background, the problem with that is as that tool gets more users, the that type of content becomes more and more saturated. And the difference between a lot of essentially all the other tools, if we're talking about brandability, right? Because there's really two routes here that we've seen in the AI video generation space. The one I'm currently speaking to, which is essentially like you can create Reddit stories. Well, what's the problem with that? Not everyone can create Reddit stories and it's going to be too saturated. Every additional user that is using said platform is further saturating that niche. And then not everyone can create the same type of content. And there's no type of robust factor to an additional person creating the same type of content, right? So that's what we've seen. Now, they got that right in terms of brand because you need to create a consistent style of content and you need to be able to have a predictable outcome, right? If a user puts X, Y, and Z thing in, they should have an understanding of what's going to come out. If they don't, it's not going to work. Then on the other side, which is what Brennan's speaking to, which is like the other part of video generation that I believe has also been done wrong, is prompt to video. Why doesn't prompt to video work for social media content? Because in order to build a brand, you need to have control over what is being generated. Brand is consistency. Brand is essentially what brand isn't is if OSSA.AI changed its logo every single day, right? And we changed our UI every single day. And Brennan and I changed our profile pictures every single day and it was random. That's what we're seeing with a lot of these platforms. And that's why they don't work. Because in order to build a brand on social media, specifically speaking to short form content, because that's what I've done, you have to consistently stay within the same style of video. And the hard thing as a company, which we've solved, is how do you allow individuals to create a consistent output or at least have control over that output while also allowing them to be creative, while also not constricting every single user to the same exact type of content. And I think that's something that's completely overlooked, in part because in order to understand those concepts to a degree, you have to have some sort of social media experience. And even if you don't understand what I'm saying, all you need to know is that we're not feeding you like a cookie cutter. Here's this exact style of content. This for every additional user that we have, there's an additional user that will use the product differently, that will be in a different niche, that will essentially establish themselves completely different than other users. And I think that's what's really important to look at. And those are the two main problems that I've seen with AI video generation companies that claim they're for social media, which they are. But at the same time, it's not in the best interest of the user, right? So as we continue to build out new features, add more customization, right now we're working on 11 Labs integration, right? When most people look at 11 Labs integration, and you probably hear that, you probably, for most people, if you're not in the social media content game, you probably just think, wow, that's really cool, like that's going to be super fun. But the idea behind doing that is because voices, and especially in Levin Labs and other cloned voices of famous people, I know that's kind of wishy-washy, but I know 11 Labs allows it. What that really does is it allows you to add more familiarity to your content. When you have a voice that's well known, it's going to increase the potential reach of said video or videos on the platform, right? When you have a distinct voice that is universally known, people are more likely to watch videos that are familiar. This is like a well-known thing in the content creation space. Every video that you consume on social media, the reason you consume it, if you go back through your like posts, your saved bookmarks, even on here, it's because it's familiar and there's something in there that that resonates with you, right? So I look at it from the perspective of, yes, this feature is going to it's going to be cool, but the real reason that we're adding this feature is because it allows more potential for viral videos. Because if you have two types of videos, let's say it's, I don't even know, let's just say it's one with it's one about presidents, right? And in one of them you have some generic 11 Labs voice and the other one you have a presidential voice reading over it. There's a high likelihood that the one with the presidential voice reading over it will have higher engagement. And not only that, if that person creates presidential videos or videos about politics, right? That voice will be associated with said person's brand. So when they're scrolling, they're like, "Oh, it's this president's voice. I remember this content." So there's those little nuances that when we look at adding features, it's not just like we want to do things that are cool. It's every single feature that is coming in the future is completely aimed towards increasing the potential reach of videos created through our platform, which is a approach that I have not seen any other company take. And it's more so along the lines of like, oh, this is kind of just like a cool feature, which is like kind of how all these really large companies that are really big and they're doing decently well, they got into this spiral of like, this is cool and I think users are gonna like it, but it's like just because it's cool and users like it, if it's not contributing to potential increase in engagement and more control, in my opinion, it shouldn't be a feature. So like we're not ever going to release a feature that's not correlated with more user control and more creativity and more. And in addition to that, the opportunity for more reach on these social media platforms. And you know that's just kind of our perspective.
Yeah, it's really well said, man. Really well said. Uh, and I hope that that sheds some light onto our motivation and what we're building here for people that are unaware. And I think a lot of people get it, based on the amount of love we're getting, which we're super thankful for. We get a lot of love on Twitter, on X, and our Discord. A lot of people on the wait list, a lot of people on the newsletter. So yeah, we're beyond thankful for all that. We just want to pass on exactly what our motivations are here and exactly what we're going to accomplish. That being said, if anyone in the audience has questions, I mean, you can raise your hand and then we can start pulling people up in a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Brennan, maybe you could speak on the early access launch, which is coming up on the first, and give people maybe a little more context behind what that looks like if they want to join the wait list, what's going to happen on February 1st, things like that.
Yeah, I'd love to. So the way that we're going to market is we have initially we're going to allow 150 people to be the first users under an early access program, and so those people will have the first iteration of OSSA.AI that outside of the beta testing program. So right now we have our beta testers. Our beta testers have been at it for about a month, give or take a few days. And so our next phase is early access. In early access, we've been talking about for the last like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we've built a wait list that has a few thousand people on it. And so the way that it works is on February 1st, early access will open up, and the people that are on the wait list will get an email and a text message with a link to join early access 4 hours before the public announcement, a secret link that will allow them to go and join the early access program. And so the way that it looks is on February 1st, we're going to sell 150 spots and we'll have a new 150 users that are in this early access program, and they'll be able to start using OSSA AI immediately, and then it will hard cap. And it's not like we're going to be like, okay, next day, here's more people that can come in. Not at all. We need to take those 150 users in, take in all of the feedback that they provide us, understand exactly how people are using it, look at all of the data, look at the results, and see where we can optimize before we open the floodgates to more people. And then moving forward, we're going to go into a more traditional full company launch where we allow people from the outside to just come in and join the ecosystem. But initially, that initial early access is limited to 150 people. And I've said this on here before, but if I had to guess, with the size of the wait list, if you are aspiring to get on that early access list, the best thing for you to do is join the wait list and participate in that when that 4 hour early access email goes out. Because I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I'd say that they're going to sell out on February 1st before the official public announcement. Uh, my expectation is when we post on Twitter on February 1st or X, whatever you'd call it, when we post on X on February 1st, it's going to be early access is live and it's sold out. So for anyone that didn't get an early access, we'll see you in the next round. And that's my take on it. So if you do want to join the wait list in the OSSA AI bio, there is a link. You can go to that link. Cole, I'm not sure if you link that to the resources or if that links directly to the waitlist.
That will link directly to the landing page.
Okay, cool. So on the landing page, there's a join waitlist button, multiple of them. You can click any of them and then go ahead and join the waitlist from there. Fill out a few pieces of information. We just need a little bit to know a little bit about you. And then again, on February 1st, you'll get an email that says join the early access waitlist. One thing that's really important that I really want to mention is the first month of OSSA.AI for the early access members is 75% off. So it's going to be $9.99 for the first 30 days. And then every month after that, it goes up to a discounted price at $39.99. Originally, when we got our first, 500 or 600 people to opt in, the landing page said that it was going to be $100 a month. And all of these people opted in at $100. And then we had just a meeting together, and Cole and I said, man, I think we really need to lower the barrier to entry here to allow anybody to have this opportunity and not content lock this or gatekeep this, because we want everyone to have the initial opportunity. And so we ended up deciding to lower that price down for the early access members to kind of show our appreciation and incentivize those people a little bit more to take action. And so that being said, one thing that I think is really important to mention is the content that Cole has been writing and putting out. I've been in the space a long time, and I've taken lots of paid content. I've used lots of paid courses. And I can tell you right now that the value that Cole has been dropping on the community is like nothing else. There's no paid course where you're gonna go and pay $30 a month to get into a private Discord to go get better content. It is the highest quality written content I've ever seen for aspiring content creators. So that's another thing. When it comes to knowledge, we absolutely do not want to gatekeep any knowledge. We want to put out, whether you use OSSA.AI or you don't use OSSA.AI, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to us. Our vision is to make influence accessible to everyone. And that's for the person that wants to go and learn how to use Adobe Premiere themselves and buy a nice camera and sit in front of a camera and make that traditional style of content, all the way down to the person that has no experience, doesn't even want to share their voice, but wants to create content by just putting in, high quality content by putting in less effort, which is what we have built. We have really lowered that barrier to entry. But regardless of what position you're in or what your aspirations are, you can leverage our education to meet your goals, or you can leverage our tools to meet your goals accompanied with the education. So yeah, it's really, really important. But join the waitlist in the OSSA.AI bio. You can go there, hit the join waitlist button. And then February 1st, just to reiterate, February 1st, everyone will get an email that's on the early access waitlist 4 hours before the actual launch, and they will have preferred access to go ahead and act there. So that's the info.
Yeah, super well said. Well, I got Josh up here. I want to let Josh speak before we close it out. Josh is a beta tester, also experienced content creator. I know he manages socials as well. He actually does content for his family as well. So we met back in my old Discord server. We've been buddies for a long time. Want to bring him up and let him say a few words. What's up, Josh?
What's up? Yeah, so to basically bounce off of what they were saying before, I know I got in here kind of late, but OSSA.AI is going to essentially allow people to have full creativity. And I was talking about this with Cole last night because a lot of what's happening, especially on social media, is unoriginal content is starting to get sort of flagged in a way. So these platforms aren't pushing out anything that has any sort of unoriginality. And there's obviously going to be a lot of people that talk about ways to avoid it, but it's very iffy, and some of those methods only last a week or two. So with OSSA.AI, you have full realm to what you do, and I've been doing that. I've made a page, and I've seen other people. There's the other beta tester. His name is Joshua, and he had zero experience. And I would say that he's building out a brand now with his page, because he picked a niche and he started making content, and because it's original, eventually over on YouTube it's going to turn into a channel that people will want to see more content of every day when he goes to post a video. And that's the power with it. Really, unlike a lot of other things, you really have full control of what you do. There's pacing, there's the styles, and you can really go in and get the videos how you want it, and you never need to worry about it being flagged as unoriginal, is really my biggest thing on it.
Yeah, super well said. And I think something that's really, really important to note is that, um, you know, we're kind of taking all the bugs and we're pulling them from under the rock, right? And one thing to definitely note is that obviously this is a technology, right? And it's a tool, and it's continuously going to be improved. Um, we've seen a lot more success on YouTube. I think probably 80% of the views have came from YouTube. TikTok's been struggling. Instagram's been okay, but YouTube's been doing the best. And Josh and I were talking about this. Um, with these new features coming in, and the continuous improvement and the more customizability, different transitions, right? Different scene animations, different caption animations, and all those types of things. I think that we'll definitely see a significant increase in the average views across all platforms. And I was saying this to Josh and to our community. TikTok's definitely a different animal in terms of pushing videos. It's a different type of viewer. It really is compared to any other platforms. That is the lowest attention platform in the world. So you really need quality and engaging content, especially with faceless content, to really have that hit. So I'm really excited to see kind of where our beta testers go, and our early access users as we start to implement these new features.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, with Joshua with Anime Verse Vids, it's so cool to see, his platform. Like Josh was saying, not to confuse them, there's Josh and Joshua, but Josh is the one that was just speaking up here. Like he was saying, Joshua had little to no experience on social media, and to see his videos getting 10, 11, 12, 6, 5, 8K views consistently, it's just so amazing. His comment section are people arguing about which anime character would actually win, and he's got a real he's garnering a real following, which is amazing. And like Josh was saying, the best thing about it is his content is original and it's creative, and it's not the type of content that can get flagged as he's clipping somebody else's, or he's stealing this or stealing that. All of his images are 100% original. His content structure is 100% original. The voice is original. Everything about his content is original, and for that reason, people like the content, and they continue to stick around and watch his content. It's really quite awesome.
Yeah, bro, and wait until we do the 11 Labs API integration, and then he has Goku speaking over his videos, dude. It's gonna
I
be
know.
that's gonna be huge. So
We'll call it not Goku. Oh yeah, because they're integrating. They'll be able to integrate it themselves and do whatever they want, right?
oh yeah, we're not integrating that voice, but 11 Labs, I mean, they can do what they got to do, man. They just raised $80 million, so I think they'll be all right.
When we were going over styles early on in OSSA.AI, Cole created this one style that looked, I'll say, questionably like Minecraft, and I'm like, dude, we can't put that on the site. We can't have that up there. I'm like, if we do, we could call it not Minecraft, but no, uh we're pretty careful about that type of stuff. So over time, we'll be able to allow people to, just like the 11 Labs integration, where you'll be able to bring your own API key. That's going to give people more creative freedom, and I think that's a really good point to mention about music, Cole, and your experience with music and how it can affect content, and why we don't use AI generated or copyright free music and automatically put it on the post, because people have the ease of being able to do it at upload.
Yeah, good question. So I have a whole resource on this when I talk about sound. So if anybody wants it, you could join our Discord, or you could DM me and I can send you any of the resources. But would love to see in the Discord as well. I always talk about these things. But yeah, when it comes to music, right? One thing that we've seen is companies that are very large putting this stock music, this copyright music behind people's videos. And the problem with that is, when we look at music, there's three pillars to it, and I talk about this in the resource. Number one, does it match the pacing of the video? Number two, does it match the emotions being conveyed in the actual content, right? So if it's a sad video, we should probably have a sad sound. And if it's slow paced, that should be a slow paced sound, right? We wouldn't want like a fast paced sad sound behind a slow paced sad video, right? So there's those two things which AI could do. But what AI cannot do is match the biggest and most important pillar of a sound behind a video, which is that it is universally known or globally recognizable and familiar. And if you think about what makes a good sound behind a video, it's those three things. It's okay, it matches the emotions, right? Think about like a scary movie, right? And a scary movie scene. When you turn off the music,
or the sound behind it and you mute it, it's not scary. But all of a sudden, because that sound or that song matches the pacing of the scene, which is a slow buildup typically, right, for a scary scene, and maybe it's suspenseful, so the sound is kind of suspenseful, that's great. But in social media, the third pillar is that it is universally known or familiar. And what is that? It's a trending sound. It's maybe a rapper. It's a trending sound on TikTok. It's a trending sound on YouTube, and that is something that AI cannot do. So why do these matter? Because when you look at creating a video for social media, it's like a burger. You have all these variables, is what I like to call them. You have like the patty, which is like the script, and within the script, you have what makes the meat, right? Which hopefully it's not processed, but for the sake of it, you have like your hook, you have your main content, maybe a call to action, maybe a questionable ending, all these words, all these terms that are associated with content creation, right? And a sound is essentially like the bun, right? If it can really, you can have an amazing video, but if the sound is off, it's gonna be a gross burger. It's not gonna be good. So when you do these copyright and these kind of tacky sounds behind a video, it totally crushes the potential of the video. And obviously, it goes without saying there's copyright issues with us trying to obviously sell a product with music in it. Um, and I've seen companies try to do this, and I know it's going to backfire because you can't just take sounds from TikTok and put them on your website. People own that, and TikTok owns the rights to that. So it's also something where I believe from a creator perspective, right? Would it be easier for us to plug into um, like an AI API and then use some LLMs to basically look at the script and then categorize it and then identify certain attributes and then attach that to sound? Yeah, it's possible and it could be done. And we have done it. But then we removed it because we're like, this doesn't make sense because it's something where that should be unique to a creator. I would rather them have more friction and download the video and have to take it to a platform than put some sort of tacky sound behind their video where I know, like I said, from a content creation standpoint, it's just going to crush the potential reach. And like I said, everything we do is not centered around let's just make it way easier to create content. That is inherently within using the tool, right? But if we're making it easier to create content at the sacrifice of potential reach, what's the point of the tool? And that's what makes me kind of look at some of these companies and think it's people don't want easier, they want better, right? So we are trying to, and we are in the process every single day of trying to provide easier, but also better. Because if you lean too far into easier, you get into a dilution of creativity and a product that creates random videos that take no effort. But the reality is that building a brand on social media takes effort, and we're just a tool, right? So I never want to get away from that. And we're never going to claim that we do absolutely everything for you. But we do take out the hardest step in the content creation process, which is the actual generation of what's in the video and the editing, right? We take out both of those steps. So that doesn't mean you still don't know how to you still don't have to or don't not have to spend time knowing how to write a script. That doesn't mean you don't have to evaluate your content and make changes and then come back to the platform and write a better script. That doesn't mean you have to ignore the caption and you have to ignore the sound, right? And we're completely aware of this. And that's why I'm building out resources because I would rather spend my time helping someone develop the skill sets to understand how these things work than try and build a software that kind of does it. And it kind of creates, it kind of adds okay sounds and it generates, like generic captions, which I've seen that some of these platforms do. And it's like, if you can't do something great, it shouldn't be there in the first place. If I wouldn't use the sound myself, I would never give that product to someone else. And that's kind of the mindset that we take is like the things that we're giving are things that Cole would use himself. And if it's not able to be done by AI in a way that I think is in the best interest, especially me, the best interest of the user, it shouldn't be there in the first place. And that's kind of the perspective that we've taken.
Definitely. Completely agree. Well, if there's any questions, let's pull some people up for questions for the last 5 minutes here. And if not, we can go ahead and wrap up the space.
Yeah, it looks like no hands are raised, so maybe we just wrap it up. We'll see you guys this coming Saturday, like we said, I think we're about 9 days out, I believe. Are we 9 days out? We 8 days out. We're 8 days out from early access, so that's on February 1st. Hopefully, you guys are all on the wait list. If you're not, like Brennan said, go to the link in the bio. Just hit join waitlist, fill out the form. We're actually sending out uh, a newsletter tomorrow or an email tomorrow to the early access um, list, and it will have obviously an update on what early access looks like, what you can expect, and then also I'll be throwing in some resources that I've been working on, an entire course on short form content creation that applies to both faceless content creation and personal brand, everything in the short form content creation space. And then on Friday, we also have a newsletter which Brennan writes up every week, which is always packed with value. So our goal is whenever you open that up, you're looking forward to it, and it's got something in there that can improve your short form content creation game. So obviously a lot of work being put in. We're doing all the works necessary, and we'll see what happens on February 1st. We're super excited, and I'm super grateful to be part of this team. The team's working incredibly hard. Brennan texted me early this week. He's like, "Bro, I'm staying late every night this week." This man sold his car along the process, right? I mean, we're working nonstop, 12-hour days every day. Just onboarded a new developer, so we're doing whatever it takes to make sure that this product can be the best it can be on early access. And then our commitment to you guys is we'll continue to refine everything and take your feedback um, and give you guys as many resources as possible to succeed. So thanks for coming out, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Later.